The only problem where limited thinking is concerned is when you haven't been told or even shown, or someone was discussing another possible scenario or possibility with you, or way of looking at something, or something that might seem far out there, or and you might brush off, but even that is a presentation of a new way of looking at something, even if you don't like see exactly the same. But you know, so but if you're just like, well, rethink reality, but rethink reality into what? Like, you haven't been shown anything else or told of anything else besides like some fantastical science fiction type things that you're like, okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'd be on board if you that was like, and what? What do you want me to do now about it? Like, I don't know. Like, rethink. Okay, show me then a different way of looking, or present a new way. Tell me about it. I mean, so I can consider it or bring that into my sphere of thought or something, or, consideration. I don't know, but kind of in the same way of draping, like, in pattern making, say like fluid draping, soft draping versus like structured draping. There's a reason for both, and sometimes it's hard to conceive of something that is um, kind of a really new silhouette or a shape or something that just from what you already know, and from your database of ideas and things that you've seen and learned. You try to combine them all if you're really good, but even then you're only the summation of all that you've accumulated in your mind and your skills and things that you've seen. So to come up with something completely new, even if it's just a slight like something, slight way that something falls off the shoulders, but in order to just do something, you kind of have to let there be like my soft draping teacher said that's why I like soft draping, because you can kind of just play with the fabric and let it take shape and form and just sort of help it along, and kind of like sculpting maybe. And some people that were very structured, engineered minded, someone who actually was an engineer at Columbia University and then came to this program at FIT, was had a harder time with that because there was, structured draping is more or less like pattern making too, and kind of follow very set guidelines of how to make a collared, tailored something or other jacket. So, or garment, whatever it is. So that, there's not much like back and forth or of a dance with the fabric material that you're working with. And there's craft and skill and know-how and technique and all of that involved, and more structured pattern making side of things. But I feel like the real creative expression come out in some forms of self draping or just designing. My teacher would say, I really just don't know where to start, because what we do is just have some fabric, and like they didn't know where to start without like a end goal of this is what the garment should look like at the end, and these are the steps that you take in order to make it that. It's like, you start, what do you want it to be, what do you want it to look like, and without that sort of like foundation of like, well, it has to be this, it's going to be this, so how am I going to tweak it to make it look, design it to be my sort of style, and then pattern it out to be that, to just start at like scratch with just like some fabric and be like, well, just don't look at the form and take 3 pins and pin it randomly to the pin the fabric randomly to the form and just start with that. Let the fabric guide you. And so you just couldn't do it, just or had a harder time with it. Versus like, that's fun and natural to me. Whereas other stuff is just, well, yeah, that's just patterning. Just the steps, kind of like baking or cooking or even just like chemistry, just things that go together. And you follow sort of procedure, architecture, anything, drafting. There are set rules and kind of like structured. This is how your end result should look. And it is going to change a little bit through the decades and through your style and how you want it to look. But you have your basic like tailored jacket and these kinds of collars and put those elements together and you follow these steps in order to do that. And it's very, by every centimeter and it's very detailed and exact. And whereas soft draping is like, don't even look at the form and take 3 pins and just stick it on there and just see what you can come up with from that. And that's fun. It's kind of more of like a give and take with how can I like make this into something that's actually wearable, but it's different and new and simple and like checks off these things on your, but like it's natural and folds and like still has something that's slightly maybe is like not ridiculous and just can be something actually worn. And how do you build something around a 3-dimensional structure basically and make it look good and check off all those boxes and start with like zero idea of maybe really what you want to do, but like that bread dress in my portfolio video from forever ago. That dress I didn't cut at all. I just draped it around and it looked different from front and both sides. So it looked from all sides actually, and it looked like a kind of a rose draped. It's really cool, and it didn't have any cuts or slashes. I just pinned it. And something that they said was celebrated about a certain designer. He was able to make some of his dresses without doing any sort of cutting, just draping the fabric and working with the fabric. And so, yeah, it's in that design portfolio video. Like Grecian dresses, they call like Caitlin dress. It's just very drapey. You can, and once you make the dress, you can either leave it as that or you can pin it and mark it all off and translate it to pattern paper and edit it and take out some of the gathers and folds and make it less like drapey and Grecian and tailor it a little bit more. But and then you make another sample and try that again. How it goes. And so, but that was my professor in my soft draping class. That was like who had taught Francis Acosta was the creative director. Calvin Klein after Calvin Klein, both of whom went to FIT. It's like I taught him 20 years ago. That was the nicest compliment. I've probably repeated it a few times, but it's like I don't get a ton of nice compliments all the time. And so when someone's really says something that strikes a chord with me, and that was very encouraging considering it's such a horrible teacher at Baylor. So that he told me that he watched a lot of how I was working and draping, and so that I just had a gift that he hadn't seen since he taught Francisco 20 years ago, draped and worked in the same spot area of the room, desk area of the room. Who I actually saw at a MoMA PS1 party that I went with my friend Juan. He was an artist. Beans and I just made all these like, crazy collages. He's a member of MoMA, so I would always go with him to my yeah, walking through first floor and passing Francisco goes ahead and being like, I want to say hi. I don't have to say hi. And I didn't say hi. I'm making sure he doesn't want to be bothered. But um, if I were to naturally come into conversation with him, I'd be more than happy to. I was hoping to, but instructions again. But I was starstruck. So yeah, I just think it's not like I can't do the structure stuff and don't see the need for it and wouldn't incorporate that into my. um, As long as you know how to methodology of pattern making, you can make anything. You just refer to a book for the exact measurements and like the steps for doing color, like how to measure exactly how you want it to be, and like all that translate to your pattern. But yeah, I feel like you don't even need to, as long as like, but there's certain types of sleeves I would like look up, like how to exactly make the perfect like raglan sleeve, especially with draping too, because it's things like that. But yeah, sleeves are tricky. So are pants.